Hi, I'm Pasha from A1 Base.
And I'm Andrew from AthenaHQ.
And today we're talking about generative search and how basically you can get your product found on this new world of AI chat and search. But before we go on, Andrew, do you want to run us through what AthenaHQ is?
Sure. So Athena helps brands like A1 Base see how you appear on Gen AI search and also take actions to try and influence AI perception.
It's kind of really interesting because just this week I had my first customer reach out to A1 Base, and I found out they found out about A1 Base through Grok Search or AI chat. And this is a totally new experience for me. So is this something that's changing and shifting?
We're hearing a lot of stories like yours, more and more and more from our friends, our customers, and we actually had a similar experience from the other side of the table as a potential customer. So when we were deciding which corporate card to use, we actually used ChatGPT to research which ones to decide on.
That's crazy. So instead of using Google search, people are asking these these AI chats, what should they buy? What should they do? This is something recently started to happen, right?
Yeah, I would say a lot of it started picking up towards the end of last year when ChatGPT search came out. And then ChatGPT had access to more and more relevant and recent, fresh data sources. And that's when we started seeing this inflection point in people discovering more products through ChatGPT.
What does it mean for someone, building a company, working at a company, building an AI product or any normal products? How do you get your results into AI chat? What can I do to make that happen?
Yeah, I wish there was a magic wand you could wave and then get that, get A1 Base onto AI search. It's really an accumulation of a lot of things. It's about making sure you have the right content, targeting the right prompts that people are searching on, and on the right places on the internet that AI is pulling from.
And with Athena, how do you help companies like ours get A1 Base into those searches?
Great question. So we start off with visibility, seeing what are the websites that, whether it's Grok, ChatGPT, Gemini, are pulling from to inform the answers for questions that A1 Base would care about. From there, we identify what are the perception gaps that these AI search engines, we call them generative engines, that are searching for information. What are their gaps in understanding, whether they misunderstand certain portions of A1 Base or they actually are acting on stale information.
And it sounds like, getting this information, having it fresh, having it trustworthy seems really important. How do you actually how do you get to the point where your company is a trusted result in these kind of spaces? Is it something that we can do, or what do people making products and businesses have to do to be on or become a trusted source for these type of results?
Yeah, trust is really big in AI search. If you go back to the previous generation of, the previous form of the web, people, if you were looking for a new luggage case, you'd go to Wirecutter, and you would go to these sort of review sites to get your information on which one should I choose, and trust the reviews and the information from these review sites themselves. Now what we're finding is that AI search, this new architecture of AI search, is pulling from a broader range of information sources, which means that as a company, you need to care more about more information sources and track how they're mentioning your brand, what they're saying about your brand.
Oh, that's kind of crazy. And in this kind of world, how do the AI agents figure out who is trustworthy? Because this is kind of a big change it's a big change overall. This generative search. What do people have to do to create content and create businesses that are trustworthy by default? How do you change your business to be something that is findable, searchable, and on these trusted results from day one, rather than trying to tack it on at the end?
Yeah, it starts from your customers. For each different vertical we're serving, we're seeing that their customers are asking slightly different questions, and making sure that your content on your website is able to answer the questions that your customers or your potential customers are asking. That's key to becoming, first off, having the relevant information for AI to pick up from your website so that they trust A1 Base's website, for example, as a number one website for this particular vertical.
That's awesome. And I think, moving forward, what does generative AI search look like in the next, few years, right? Because this is a whole new space. What will happen? Like, what should we do now? Like, yeah, just tell us, like, what does the next few years look like?
Karpathy had a really great tweet a couple weeks ago about how in the future, majority of the traffic online will be from AI. And that's the world where we're headed. And that's where we're building towards, is that the internet started off with humans searching for information to make human decisions. But now is AI searching for information to help humans make decisions. So AI has kind of become this middleman, this kind of like broker between information sources on the internet and then the ultimate humans who are making the decisions. So that's where we see the world going. Agents are one form of how AI is becoming this middleman.
And are there any like last tips or any cool tips you have for people building startups, people building their first AI agents to really kind of navigate this generative AI search world really well?
I mean, I would suggest using Athena to give you that, X-ray vision into not just how your brand is appearing on AI search, but how your competitors are. And at scale, of course, you can manually search on ChatGPT the prompts that are relevant for your company. But first off, AI search is probabilistic, right? Which means that you can ask ChatGPT, Gemini, the same question 10 times, you get 10 different answers with 10 different sets of sources. One tip is to find a tool that lets you monitor at scale and then make your decisions based on these data sets.